It was a dark and stormy night, and Sarah was home alone in her quaint little cottage deep in the woods. She had always been a bit of a thrill seeker and loved nothing more than curling up with a good horror novel on a night like this. But as the wind howled and the rain pounded against the windows, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She tried to brush it off as her imagination ran wild, but as the night wore on, the feeling only grew stronger. It was as if something was watching her, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Sarah tried to distract herself by playing some music on her old record player, but even the familiar melodies did little to calm her nerves. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being stalked, and as the hours ticked by, her anxiety only increased. Just as she was about to lose all hope, she heard a knock at the door. Sarah froze, unsure of what to do. Part of her wanted to ignore it and hope whoever was there would just go away, but another part of her was desperate for human contact, no matter how dangerous it might be. With a deep breath, Sarah slowly made her way to the door and cautiously peered through the peephole. What she saw sent a chill down her spine. There, standing on her porch, was a figure unlike any she had ever seen. It was tall and thin, with skin as pale as death and eyes that glowed with an otherworldly light. Its mouth was twisted into a grotesque grin, revealing sharp, jagged teeth. Sarah knew she had to act fast. She fumbled with the locks, trying to unlock the door and make a run for it. But it was too late. The creature reached out and grabbed her by the arm, pulling her out into the stormy night. Sarah's mind raced as the creature dragged her deeper into the woods. She had always heard stories about the dangers of the forest, but she never imagined she would be the one in danger. As they moved further and further from civilization, Sarah began to realize that the creature had a clear set of rules it lived by. It only came out on the darkest, stormiest nights, and it only preyed on those who were foolish enough to be out alone. Sarah knew she had to do everything in her power to survive. She tried to fight back, but the creature was too strong. It seemed to have a sixth sense, always knowing exactly where she was and what she was thinking. As the hours ticked by, Sarah began to understand the true nature of the creature. It was a creature of the night, feeding on the fear and desperation of its victims. And as long as Sarah played by its rules, she had a chance of making it out alive. Plenty of characters who could disappear at any moment. Sarah wasn't the only one being hunted by the creature. As she stumbled through the woods, she came across other victims, all of them lost and alone, just like her. There was Tom, a young hiker who had gotten separated from his group and was now being pursued by the creature. And Lisa, a young woman who had been out for a late-night jog and was now fighting for her life. Each victim had their own story, their own reasons for being out in the woods on that fateful night. But they all shared one thing in common: they were all in grave danger. As the group struggled to survive, they were faced with constant challenges and obstacles. The creature was always one step ahead, and they never knew when or where it would strike next. They tried to stick together, hoping that their numbers would give them a better chance of survival. But as the night wore on, it became clear that anyone could disappear at any moment. Sarah and the others did their best to stay alert, but the creature was a master of deception. It would often wait until they were least expecting it to strike, catching them off guard and putting them at a serious disadvantage. One minute, they would be walking through the woods, feeling relatively safe. The next, the creature would appear out of nowhere, snarling and snapping as it attacked. Despite their best efforts, the group was constantly on edge. They never knew when the creature would attack, and they were always one step away from being taken down. As the night wore on, Sarah and the others began to piece together the creature's backstory. It turned out that it was a spirit, bound to the forest for centuries. It had been cursed to roam the woods, preying on the fear and desperation of those who stumbled upon it. But as they learned more about the creature, they also began to understand its true purpose. It was not just a mindless monster, but a being with its own motivations and desires. The group realized that the only way to defeat the creature was to understand its motivations and use that knowledge to its advantage. And so, they began to dig deeper, determined to find a way to outsmart the creature and put an end to its reign of terror. As the group stumbled through the woods, they couldn't help but feel like they were the stars of their own horror movie. And in a way, they were. The storm raged on, the wind howled, and the creature stalked them at every turn. The only thing missing was a proper theme song to set the mood. As they walked, Sarah hummed a tune that had been stuck in her head all night. It was a creepy, unsettling melody that seemed to perfectly capture the mood of the moment. The others joined in, and soon, they were all humming the same tune. It was a small comfort in a terrifying situation, but it was something. In the end, Sarah and the others managed to outsmart the creature and escape the woods. They emerged battered and bruised, but alive. But as they made their way back to civilization, they couldn't shake the feeling that their encounter with the creature was far from over. It was a being that had existed for centuries, and it would no doubt continue to haunt the woods for years to come. And Sarah knew that, sooner or later, she would have to face it again. The thought sent a chill down her spine, but she knew that she was ready. She had survived once, and she could do it again. And this time, she would be even better prepared. The end, or is it?